I like the way that ends or starts or however you want to say it. It just abruptly stops, and that's totally my fault.
It's pretty epic until you do the interruptus
Yeah,
part.
I when I built it, I thought, oh, this is great, and that's part of the issue is when you build it, it's cool when you're realizing your pieces you're putting together come out. And you're like, that works, but then you forget that there's this whole beginning where it's like you got to give it some time before it starts because then it just starts, and then you
Uh-huh.
also got to do like a little outro to the
An
intro so that it
outro.
doesn't just a little decrescendo so it doesn't cut off and be like done.
Did you just decrescendo me? Did you
No,
seriously
not on
just
purpose.
decrescendo me?
No,
What did I do to deserve that?
you what?
What did I do to deserve a decrescendo? Totally,
You didn't deserve
totally,
it. He didn't do anything to
totally out
deserve
of
it.
line. Totally out of line.
So
Say it.
I hope that tonight I can go through without yawning. I don't know if you were here, if you heard what happened on Monday though, but it was
What
not
happened
good.
on Monday?
So I was yawning excessively. And when I mean excessively, I don't mean like a yawn here or there, but it was literally like, it felt like it was every 15 seconds I was just yawning, Jameed.
What
And
was going on?
well, I have been for the last 2 weeks, I've had a different schedule at work. And I've been
Ah,
having to get up like at 4:30 in the morning when I'm used to getting up at 6 o'clock, 6 to 6:20. And it's just kicking my
it's
butt. And
kicking
I'm in
your
a
butt.
and I'm in a different area
Encarnacion
of my
was
plant.
agreeing that
Yeah,
all that yawning was over the top.
it was. So I really hurt Joe's feelings on that. And I knew I did actually. I knew I
Not
did.
our Joe. Our Joe is impervious to hurt feelings.
Right. Well, he was well, to put it mildly, hurt, and rightfully so. It was really rude of me and disrespectful, and so I
Encarnacion has a suggestion for you. Why don't you take a little nap?
I think I might have taken that. No, I didn't. But you know what I did do on Monday? I was at the Sprint store for hours trying to get my phone upgraded, and I didn't get it upgraded. Couldn't get it upgraded.
Why couldn't you get it upgraded?
They were like, the model you need, we don't have in stock. You're going to have to order from Sprint themselves.
What model do you have?
I have the LG V60 dual screen. I took the dual screen off right now. Um,
Oh,
and LG got
oh,
out of the cell phone market. And Monday or Sunday, something happened where an update was going through and it disabled many people's phones. We couldn't call or text from it without a Wi-Fi connection.
now was that update with rocks and Pete Moss? Because not too many people are still on the LG phone train.
Look, I love LG. I loved LG. I loved them. They were great. When that whole Note 7 debacle happened with Samsung, it was LG that came in and swooped in and saved the day for me. So I had the V20, the V40, the V60, and unfortunately, that's where it dies. It's there. So
Okay, well, time for you to get an Apple phone on
not
Monday.
happening. But I do feel bad that I had to revert to getting a Samsung phone. So I did order a Galaxy S22 Ultra, and I'm like,
There's been some complaints on that S22, brother.
don't tell me that.
Just research it for yourself.
I
Now
tried to, but it
they
was
might
either
have fixed
that
it.
or get the Motorola 110.
Okay, now you're talking about phones that I never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Pixel 6 Pro, which I didn't mind, except it was just like my kid has it, and I was like,
Or
I just needed
or
something bigger. And
or
that's
iPhone 13 Max Pro.
I like the stylus too.
Stop. Good. Gee, God, come on.
Man, if you haven't used a phone with a stylus built into the phone, it's a whole other world. But it's pretty lit. So, but
Well, I did use a phone with a stylus back in the 60s or something like that when styluses were popular.
and you were
But
using like stone chisels.
yeah, I don't
Uh,
recall. I haven't had a phone with a
that's what your
stylus.
stylus was a chisel.
Yeah, for those personal assistants, they all came with a stylus. SMDH.
So um uh So yeah, as you can tell, Joe's not here today because he has some things going on and he is going to be taking a break. And he needs to focus on some stuff that's happening outside of the social distancing show. And
Well,
so that's where
definitely,
he is.
definitely be praying for him. You know, I understand that.
Yeah, you do.
Our hit show, uh, We That Atlanta Sports, is on a kind of a hiatus for similar reasons with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally get that. And listen, those things are much more important than our shows. So what we have to do is support our team members and
Yep.
friends. So I totally get where you are.
And so for Sandy, thank you. For Sandy, she was headed home and she had every intention of being here this evening until her dogs decided otherwise. So
Oh,
her
are they
dogs chewed
okay?
up her internet line.
Say hello, Madre.
Yeah, so she has no
Wow.
internet tonight.
Wow.
And we're talking about the main
Dogs,
line, the fiber line that goes into the house. So there,
dogs doing
you
dog
gotta love them,
things.
right? You gotta love them.
You gotta love them. Just really quick, double
Yep.
check to see it's not some good true crime murder mystery on tonight. Because just not saying. I'm just saying. I'm
Right.
not saying. I'm just saying.
I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying about that, so it makes sense. Um, yeah. So, Jameed, I normally do not like to talk too much about myself when I come on the show. Um, Sometimes when it's the right topic, I can get it going, but a lot of times I like to focus outwardly, and so that's kind of what I'm doing. I know that I want to ask you first, though, how's your week been? It's been a little bit since you were last on here, so what's been going on in your world?
This week was good. I am 4 weeks post COVID.
Oh,
Um, and I was vax boosted, all that stuff. So that first week was a butt kicker. That second week I was better. Um, Last week I think I was about 85, 90%. This week I feel like I'm like at 99%. I'm not going to say 100,
mm-hmm.
but I have my energy back. And thank God I'm not one of those long haul or long termers because,
Yeah.
but I can tell you, it's not just when you have it and then when you test negative, it's over. There's
Mm-hmm.
still effects like every morning I have a ridiculous amount of snot in my nose, like I went outside in 30-degree weather. So
Wow.
there are long term effects, but I'm blessed to be feeling better. So I'm getting caught up as much as possible on both work and home life. And my brother in law is getting married this weekend or this Friday, so I'm excited about that. My him and my wife's mom is no longer with us. They lost her at a very young age. So my wife has been kind of filling in the duties as what probably a mother would do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been great to see because my siblings and I have such a close relationship, so I can really relate to that. So,
Wow.
but I'll be glad when it's Friday night because I feel like
You'll be
I'm
glad
involved.
when?
I'll be glad when it's Friday night because I feel like I've been involved in a wedding myself.
Has today seemed like, not today, but the week kind of seemed really wicked fast in a way. Like I felt like today was Thursday, maybe even a Friday in a way. I was like, man, I
It
can't believe
it,
it's only
it
Wednesday.
has been quite a week. You know, around the United States, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think we're going to get into that, but just tragedy after tragedy. In the middle of it, primary elections, um, and dealing with the inflation of everything costing more, the
Oh my
gas
god.
prices, and just regular grocery shopping becoming like an adventure, a three-store adventure. Okay, this store they typically have this. Then we're going to
Hmm.
go to this store. Then we're going to finish it off at the farmers market. It's a lot. it's a lot, and a lot of the things that you kind of took for granted. And I don't have any kids or grandkids on uh, that are. I don't have any grandkids, period. But I don't have any kids that are young enough to need baby formula. But that's a little harrowing, like
Oh my
just
gosh. Yes.
just
So
just
yeah.
thinking about it, because you know my partner at work, she does have grandkids on a grandchild on formula, and we're trying to work, and she's like, hey, can I get off to make, I'm calling the warehouse in New Jersey, and it's just sad, because it's just a timing thing, right? I don't have any kids because my kids are older that are
Yeah.
on formula, but I do have two kids old enough that they could have kids, right? And so if they had kids and they were on formula.
That'd be tough. Last night was the first time I'd seen someone outside of a Target had a sign up, and I was being super critical because the sign, we had to drive by it and slow down and stop and be like, it was just too much on the sign. But the gist was in search of baby food formula, in search of baby formula, please help. And I was like, whoa.
I, I, I I can't imagine. I can't imagine, because think about how our society works, right? One side is, hey, mothers, here's your maternity leave. Enjoy your maternity leave. But what we really mean is, at the end of that maternity leave, we need you to get back to work. And when you get back to work, that's it for the breastfeeding. Like, I've
Mm.
worked with women who tried to maintain that, and typically I've never worked with anyone who was able to maintain working full time and breast pumping all the way until the child was weaned off of formula. Never,
Oof.
never. And,
Oof.
I'm old. I've been working a long time. They try to give it the old college try, but at some point, our society says you have to work, and if you have to work, your child's going to have to be on formula. And there's other million reasons that your child is going to have to be on formula. So it's not a choice. It's not a lifestyle choice. Like, oh yeah, we'll just do formula because I don't feel like breastfeeding. And some of the ignorant responses, like, well, why don't you just go back to breastfeeding?
Mm.
Um, yeah, that you really
Hush your
didn't
mouth.
did not pay attention during anatomy and physiology, because you can't just be like, okay, let's get them going again. Come on, guys,
Rev up production.
let's,
Let's get
let's rev
going.
up production.
Yeah.
So
I
it,
know, and you see the remarks. It's just like, man, what are you talking about? Like, does not, and it's so weird when people are so critical of it, because I'm like, you do realize that every single one of us was a baby at one point, right? And
right,
somewhere along the lines, maybe not all of us, but somewhere along the lines, many of us needed some extra
the
help.
vast majority, the vast
I'm
majority.
seeing Facebook posts and groups where they're taking pictures. Whenever anyone goes to the store, they're just taking pictures of the baby formula section, and they're sharing it out, and like, here you go. Here's what's here right now at 6:42, and people are rushing. They're leaving their jobs, or kind of what you're saying. So people they wish they could just take some time out to go pump, and then now you're getting like what you said. People are like, can I make a run over to wherever? And they're having a run and see if they can get some formula from there. And then people are, I've seen others were like, man, I hope they're not hoarding. But then others where they're like, my doctor said just to grab what I can get, because there's no known when
Right.
there's going to be more.
And then there's another effect of that is several children have been hospitalized as their
Mm.
bodies could not take that switch to a new formula. So yeah, it's not been the greatest of weeks. Just nationally, internationally, um, Russia is really pounding a certain part of Ukraine, and unfortunately, not just pounding in the sense of war, but committing war crimes in any territory that they take, and that's objectively. That's not me saying that because I don't like Russia, but objectively, neutral observers have observed war crimes and torture devices and stuff like that. So again, it has been really been a rough time, right? And
Yeah.
so we have to make sure that we don't get uh, that we don't get distracted and we don't lose our our positive outlook, because this is a time where I could certainly see people turning negative, and we really have to turn positive.
Yeah. And that's, man, hearing you say that and thinking about, you know, it's hard. So I remember I put a post up yesterday and I was like, man, or this morning even, and I was like, man, I'm having a really hard time with the news that came out yesterday out of Texas. And I was like, I'm just having a hard time. It's just like, here you go, another shooting. And it's like, why? And someone was like, they're being positive and uplifting, right? The energy they're trying to give out was positive. And and I was like, they were like, you just have to have faith, believe, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm trying. It's just I'm having a difficult time. I don't know how many people out there were in similar situations, going into work this morning and having all that junk from everywhere that was going on yesterday. And it was just like, I was in the bus headed into the office. So I got to go park in this giant parking lot, get on the bus. And then as we're being driven into the plant, I'm sitting there and I'm just bawling my eyes out in the bus. And it's one of those cries where you're just silent and you're just sitting there, right? And the water's just flowing out my eyes. And all because I can think about is what happened. And I'm just like, and I look up just to kind of, and I look up, but I'm happy at one point too, because no one's looking at me. Everyone's got their heads down. They're all looking at their phones. And so I'm like, okay, so no one has seen me. I'm like, I got to get this together. I got to pull this in and rein it in. But I was just like, yeah, it's rough. So I was just like, okay, that's the reality of it this morning. And my heart, being a big sympathetic empath, whatever, is just like, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling for people. And I'm trying not to feel for people, if that makes sense, or at least put the cap on it so I can, throw it in the drawer and then pull it out later when I need it. And so it was unsuccessful until about halfway into the plant when I'm getting to the area I'm working at. And I was like, I got it. I got it. And honestly, the thing that kept me going about it was this dumb, this right here. This right here is what helped me have some normalcy in my day. It was able to focus on something else.
If you're not a regular viewer, just be clear. Jaime is obsessed with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial.
Oh my gosh!
Like, actually, obsessed is not a fully fleshed out description of how important this has become.
I will own that, Professor. I will own it, because yes. So again, having to think about all the sadness and everything that happened, and it was like, I need to balance. I need to, steady the course. I need to get through the day okay. And this is what happened. This is this show that's been going on. This 21 days of testimony and going back and forth was going on. And I was like, okay, I can center on this for whatever reason. And there was some juicy bits today in the trial, man. There was some juicy bits.
I was about to say, for those of us who are not obsessed, who haven't had a chance to keep up with the trial, can you give us an update of the latest? I do kind of watch it on the periphery. It comes across on some of my news apps and stuff. So
Sure.
Just a little update on the latest that's going on in the trial.
So briefly, just go back with what's happening overall, and then I'll update this week, kind of thing.
Okay, so, that sounds good.
Johnny Depp and his ex-wife Amber Heard, okay, they divorced back like almost 10 years ago, right? Like back in 2016 or something like that.
That's not 10 years ago, but go ahead.
My 10 years. So, I already said I thought today was Thursday or Friday, right? So so they divorced.
Okay.
And there was a divorce trial and everything, and then skip forward a few years, and there was a op-ed that Amber Heard wrote that talked about
Okay.
her domestic abuse that happened to her.
And this was at the height of which movement that was very
Me
important for
Too.
women?
So it was
The
the Me
Me
Too
Too movement.
movement.
So
She became the
the Me
face of
Too,
it.
right, and the Me Too movement was clearly an important thing in the development, for women around the world, but to try to call out the things that a lot of successful women, that sometimes we go, this is goals, this is relationship goals, this is with profession goals, but the stuff that they've had to go through. And I think like that, things that often happen, um, organic movements can be hijacked by people trying to ride the wave for fame. And so continue now, because I just wanted to add that
Yeah.
commentary in,
No,
because
that's
Amber Heard came out of nowhere to basically me to her way back into the mainstream.
yes. So Amber Heard, she was the star of the one and only.
Encarnacion is team Johnny Depp, like you. I just wanted to.
I am not Team Depp. Let me make that clear now. So since the last time we spoke,
Wait,
I am no
wait,
longer
wait, wait.
Team
I
Depp.
need some clarity on that. You're not team
No.
Depp. Okay,
Mm-mm.
okay, okay,
I'll
okay.
get to that if you want me to later, but let me
No,
tell
no,
you.
we will, we will.
So so she wrote this op-ed that is at the center of the claim that Johnny has against her. Okay, and the claim is that it's defamation, where he's claiming that op-ed she wrote was about him, and because of that, it caused him to lose out on money and wages and
Yes,
work.
and
Okay,
specifically, what huge cash cow
well, there
did
was
he lose
two.
out on?
He lost out on Pirates of the, supposedly. Now sorry, here's where the thing is um he lost out, supposedly lost, he claims he lost out on Pirates of the Caribbean Part 6. He
And
also
when you say
definitely,
claims, did they make a part six without him?
they did not make a Part 6, nor did they have any contract though with him prior.
So how much did part five make?
I want to say it was like, I cannot remember the right number, but I want to say it was like 800 million,
Yeah.
which
How about
was
part four?
which was, I don't remember, but it was significantly more. And it was so much so that they said that Part 5 was a bomb, and
And,
that they
and, and
almost talked about recasting him, which is why he didn't have a contract for it.
well, let's be clear. The entire franchise from one through five has made how much money?
I don't even remember that one. They have talked about it though.
You don't have to give an exact number. Well,
I
let's
would
talk about
say it's probably got to be over 2 to 3 billion with a
2 to 3 billion, right?
between all five, at
So,
least
how many Fast and Furiouses are there?
10 or 9,
I don't know, because I get
9
confused.
or 10.
My wife and kids watch it all the time. I think they might be on 11, but regardless,
Uh huh.
contract or no contract, what likelihood is there that a franchise that had made 2.5, 3 billion ish dollars was going to make another movie?
Right, I'm with you. There
Okay,
was definitely, there should have been talks to make another movie. There should have
okay,
been.
okay. So
Alternatively,
go ahead,
he also
go ahead.
lost out on the other movie that he had a big role in, which was just released a few weeks ago, which was Fantastic Beast, Secrets of Dumbledore. He played the main villain in at the end of the first movie and throughout the second movie, Grindelwald. He was Grindelwald, and he got pulled out, and he was replaced for part 3.
Do you know how much money he made in part one and part two to play
Mm-mm. But they
Grindelwald?
did talk about it during the trial, so they have talked about that last week.
I think it's
Actually,
somewhere in the 30 to 40. And
it wouldn't surprise me. Here's the
I
thing:
don't
is
know.
they
I don't know if I don't know if the Harry Potter franchises do back end, because typically franchises like that don't do back end. I know that there were some of those movies, not all of the Caribbeans, that he had back end on. So
they went through the trial and they talked about how much money he potentially lost out on, and they gave quite a big number, but only with pirates. But anyhow, let me digress.
mhm.
So he lost out on a potential. He hasn't done he only did one more movie after Pirates 5, which was Mordecai. Okay, but it was a small movie, not a big thing. I think it was in Italy even or whatnot. But anyway, that's the only other movie he did. And so to this day, since then, he hasn't done any movie.
Mhm.
So his claim to Amber is that her op-ed is causing him to lose money. She filed a counterclaim saying the same thing, basically that he has caused her to lose money based on some things that came out. And I don't remember the guy's name. It starts with a W, but this lawyer over in the UK made some statements that were about her that she felt caused her to lose out on money also. So his claim was for $50 million. Her claim was for $100 million. There have been some pretty crazy things that have happened these last 21 days. Okay. The two highlights that come off the top of my head before this week were Alejandro, who was the doorman for one of the buildings that they lived in, Johnny and Amber. His interview was out of this world insane. The pinnacle of that interview at one point was him
His
talking.
interview or his testimony.
I don't remember. I say interview because they're talking to a lot of people who are not sitting in the chair. There's a lot
Okay.
of video testimony too, so it could
Okay.
have been
Okay.
his deposition, for whichever way.
Okay.
But this guy, they're asking him questions, and he's like, "Do you remember blah 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 blah?" And he's like, no, yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Much less, I don't even want to deal with any of this anymore. I don't want to do any of this. And it's just kind of like, what just happened? He's like, but anyway, and then he goes on and he talks about it. And you're just like, did he just do that? But during the interview, he's also doing this, going off to the side, and then he comes back and then he's blowing out smoke. He's vaping while he's being or deposed or giving his
Okay.
testimony, whichever you want to
Mhm.
say. He's vaping
I
there,
would say
right?
being deposed. No, I didn't know. I didn't know for sure, so I was trying to clarify because I
Yeah,
didn't know whether.
it's
Yeah,
been a few weeks
because it seems
since
like
that
a
interview.
trend for people to be using outside substances during even on the stand. You might say. So
You
go
might.
go ahead.
So that was the pinnacle of one of the people. The second one came when this lawyer out of left field came out, right? Her name is Camille Vasquez. This woman was interviewing, she was cross-examining Amber Heard. And like at one point, she asked Amber, she says something like, is it true that you said you were gonna how did she say it? You were going to donate all the money of your divorce settlement to the ACLU and some other company charity.
Oh yeah,
It was $7 million,
that did come
right?
out. That did come out.
It-
That did come
and
out.
and Amber says, "Yes, I pledged half for this and half for that." And Camille says, "No, answer my question. Did you?" And she asked her again, "Did you say that you were going to donate your monies to these organizations?" And Amber's like, "Yes, I pledged to give half and half." And she's like, "You need to answer my questions. Your counselor will have a time to cross you and you can answer them, but you're going to answer my questions. You said you were going to donate your, and they go through that a couple times, but it is the
Mhm.
greatest thing because she is like, she's putting her on the spot. She is not letting her out, but she's not like uber forceful and anything. She's just like, no, stop talking. You are answering my questions, but it is the most epic thing. And so she keeps doing that. And then this woman keeps doing these objections that are amazing. They're just out of control. It's awesome. Um, but anyway, so this lady, so she's another high. Well, then this week, and even today, so this week there was a man who was answering. He was a doctor. I
So,
think
but
he was
hold
a
on,
psychologist.
you didn't get to the best part.
What?
What's the answer about the money that Amber Plant pledged to give?
So Amber pledged her divorce settlement, which was $7 million, to two organizations, 100%. Okay, there's even video of her being on I think it was the James Corden show or something else, some other show that's in the UK. I can't remember that guy. But she says on there, she goes, I donated half of my, my entire settlement to both of these charities. Well, they had both the charities on, or at least the ACLU, and verified that the ACLU only received $100,000 from Johnny as part of the divorce settlement. They received $350,000 from Elon Musk in Amber Heard's name, and I think there was another $350,000 from James Franco or Amber. No, from James Franco in her name.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was the Green Goblin. He was the Green Goblin in Spider-Man 2. 1.
Seriously, that's the best reference you can come up with James Franco as I throw you this softball. Hey, Sandy. Wait, like, did I say it like you and Nana Joe? Lloyd.
Oh, Sandy's been in here talking. I've totally been missing. I thought, I'm sorry, Sandy. I'm just seeing this now.
When you get it, when you get into your Amber Heard. Hello, Sandy. Hey, Sandy.
Well, it's great because Sandy is my watching buddy. Okay, she and CPJ. So Sandy will make sure I am covering it on because I have a lot of space in my mind sometimes when I'm trying to recall stuff. So yeah, they
have been able to debunk her countersuit. So continue on.
Yes. So and that's my finding too. They haven't. So understand they have not weighed. The jury has not come out on anything yet. So everything is technically still, everything's done. I do think that they rested though, but everything ends Friday morning when closing arguments come out. Okay. And then we have to wait for the jury to deliberate however long that takes and then bring back their what do you call that? Judgment or something like that, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, so we found out that the organizations, Amber has only donated like I think a very minuscule amount, maybe 200,000, 250,000 of the 7 million that was supposed to go to both of these organizations. That was
pledged.
And yes, sorry, when you say pledge, it brings up all the memories. Like this woman is trying so hard to say, yes, I gave all of, and then she went on talking about how like, look, when you put a mortgage on a house, you don't have the money for it. It is like, just be quiet. Just be quiet. You pledged it. You also told everyone in the world that you donated it. And that was supposed to be what would happen. So she had all this money for 16 or 18 months. Because then at some point during that same conversation, she tells Camille Vasquez, she says, I haven't been able to donate it because your client sued me. Johnny sued me. And so I haven't been able to donate it. And she was like, she let her say it a number of times. It was so funny. And then Camille comes in and she's like, you had that money for 18 months before my client sued you. And so I was like, ouch, burn. But yeah, so then this week though, so it's been a juicy week this week. I have been like, oh my gosh, what did you say? So there was this psychologist who came on earlier on, I don't remember if it's Monday or yesterday. Yes. It was her chemistry that caused her to lose the role. Yeah. So the WB, not just the WB, he was the DC president of WB for the pictures. Right. And he came out and he was that was this week. He came out and he was like, here was the thing too, is she claimed all this stuff and she had an agent who was like, you normally get better roles and stuff like this. And, she did fantastic in there. It was one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, what planet are we on? Because I was there when the movie first came out and and you guys know I love my comic books, right? I got my comic books over here on the side still. I'm doing this stuff every day. So I'm like, what? I was like, everybody hated her in the movie originally. When she was cast, they were like, who? Right. What? Right. And when she actually acted on it, people were like, she was the worst part of the movie. And when I saw it, I didn't know who she was, and I didn't particularly like her either back then. Right. I thought it was not.
Nobody went to the movie to see Amber Heard. What's up, Gabriel?
Yeah, like I even it was like, nah, she just, and so the DC president talked about it specifically. He was like, they do these things. I don't remember what he called it, but they're like, we do these tests to see if the chemistry between, I think it was the chemistry test, we do these chemistry tests to see if if they'll meld well together. And he was like, yeah, they didn't clash well together. Jason Momoa, talking about Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. So Jason Momoa played Aquaman and Amber Heard, and the president was like, yeah, they're not passing anything. And so, but because of the lens or whatever she's had during the trial, her screen time went from, like, I think it was for Aquaman 2, her screen time went from 45 minutes or whatever it was to 45 minutes initially, and all the way up until last week, the beginning of last week, she had 10 minutes of screen time. To the end of the week, her contract with Warner Brothers was dissolved. She's lost her role as Queen Mira.
Yeah, you play certain games, you get certain rewards, and certainly that's not to rush to judgment. And one of the things that I think as things come out, and Sandy was saying that the second organization is a separate amount that she welched on. I don't know if that's
the two charities I was talking about. She's taking $7 million and dividing that between the ACLU and the other one.
Gabriel said, I pledge $100 million to charities that I would never play. He said James Franco was in Pineapple Express. There's a million James Franco movies, but you never answered my question, right?
What was it? I'm sorry.
So Gabriel brought up, I said, I'm so confused. What does James Franco have to do with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp divorce trial?
I'm glad you asked that,
confused.
Professor. Let me tell you,
Franco get in here. I'm not following as closely as you.
Let's tell you. So, the night that Johnny Depp allegedly assaulted her, which would have been the night before she filed for her restraining order and her divorce, in one of her penthouses, one of Johnny's penthouses, however you want to say it, they're married at the time still, James Franco appears that evening and shows up to the penthouse. And they showed it during the trial. He's on the elevator. She goes down to get him, brings him back up, goes into the penthouse, and then he leaves the next morning.
That's interesting. That was a long elevator ride. That's a long elevator ride.
Yeah. So hey, sorry. that happens sometimes. So yeah, she also dated Elon Musk for about a month, which is why he donated some money to the ACLU in her name.
That's interesting. So let me get caught up on some comments.
Sure.
Encarnacion said, "Hi, Sandy," and then the social distancing show said, "Hi, Chan." So I don't know Encarnacion to call him Chan, but
that's what we call him.
That's what Chan.
I've known Chan since back in the day. So
Sandy also said, like many of the rest of us in the world, when we watched Aquaman, we hadn't heard of Amber Heard, and also we didn't even know that we didn't know that she was Johnny Depp's wife.
I didn't know that at the time.
And I have to second that. Encarnacion called her Miss Fake. Sandy said, "I most certainly did not watch for Queen Mira. Give me some Jason." Let's delete that thing. Maybe Sandy's husband didn't see that. Eric, sorry about that.
So I've been following Jason since he was in Stargate Atlantis, and that's where I first saw him, and that was way back in 90-something, 99, 2000, 2002. Anyway, the point is, he was on that long time ago, and there was a show even before that. I remember, but anyway, So this week, some of the bombs that they dropped this week were pretty intense. There's a psychologist who was on there this week who, oh my gosh, he was on for Amber's team, but he's so combative with Johnny's lawyers that at several times he backpedaled what he said. He talked about how mistaken he was when he made this claim. It was, and I'm on the thing.
Didn't
I'm
go
like,
well. That testimony,
it did not.
that testimony did not go well.
So, and at one of the most cringeworthy parts was when Johnny's lawyer is asking about all the movies that Johnny had been in. And the psychologist is like, I don't know about that one. Yes, that one. And at one point he says something like, he goes, yeah, like his role in as Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? And then he goes, you've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? And it goes silent for like an uncomfortable 45 seconds. And then he starts licking his lips and his cheeks and his teeth. And it's so loud. And he's like this. He's like, and then he looks to the judge and he goes, do I have to answer that? And the judge is like, yes, stop doing that. And please answer the question. And he goes, no, I have not watched that. But it was so crazy. And Sandy was the one who told me about it first because I couldn't hear it where I'm at. But I went back and replayed it and watched it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so annoying. But yeah, so there were so many times.
Sandy agrees that was a cringe moment. And so I think so. One of the things is, I think, divorce is hard, period. Right. And so then you have to rehash all that stuff. And the amount of money that Johnny Depp has made, objectively, the divorce settlement was not fair, right? She did not have she signed a prenup. She just did not have, when somebody has a net worth somewhere in the hundreds of $1 million and you get $7 million out of it, that's not a good outcome.
Oh, she wanted a ton more.
And so, and I think, then the subsequent actions based on the bitterness about that, you start saying, well, let me paint myself. One of the things, Sandy and I are true crime
junkies,
aficionados. And one of the things that happens a lot of times when women murder their husband is when they get to the trial, all of a sudden he was a abuser. No evidence of I know that spousal abuse is underreported. Be clear on that. And I totally understand those dynamics. But even when it's underreported, people know, right? The family members know a lot of times. And so, but typically when women are on trial for murdering men, all of a sudden there's allegations of abuse. Not saying that that's what happened here, but there does seem to be, even Amber testimony said that that he didn't throw her down the steps and he didn't do some of the other things.
Kate Moss came on this morning because that was one of the things, was that the claim was that Johnny had thrown Kate Moss down some stairs, and so Amber and her sister Whitney thought Johnny was going to throw Whitney down the stairs, and that's one of the reasons that there was a little scuffle there. But Kate Moss came on this morning, and they asked her, did you get thrown down? Have you ever been attacked? Were you ever harmed by Johnny Depp? And her answers were no. She was on for like a hot minute, wasn't she, Sandy? She was on for like, everybody was all excited to get her on because a week ago or 2 weeks ago,
Day Walker,
a week or 2 weeks ago, they couldn't bring her in. The judge, the grand jury, everything had already been decided. She couldn't be a witness. But because Amber had mentioned Kate Moss, she opened the door to allow that to happen. And you should have seen over on Johnny's side, whenever she said Kate Moss, like she realized she slipped up too, because she kind of was like,
well,
they were like,
it's hard to stick with the testify the pretrial prep when you're having nose problems that up there. So
it was so because of that,
and
they let her in.
Clear bottles. I've never seen anybody of doing this. I never seen anybody doing this. I got a bottle of water. Somebody comes near me. I'm never like. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Yes,
that was.
I don't know if it was a bottle of water, but it was definitely a bottle.
But that's what I'm saying. When have you ever seen somebody?
It's to calm those nerves, man. It's to calm, you know.
And so,
but
I had a question for Sandy because she was saying that this definitely happened here. And I know what she's talking about. That after the fact, we tried to do that. 30 seconds. I don't know what 30 seconds was.
30 seconds. But that's how long it was quiet in the courtroom when the psychologist was licking his everything inside his mouth.
This is one thing you didn't mention when going over the things, the recent happenings, is the Ellen Barkin, who's one of my favorite actresses since Big Easy. Ellen Barkin accusing everyone of 1 or 15 minutes of fame, and kind of how her testimony was kind of like designed to be a hit piece at Johnny, but it still never talked about. So what did Ellen say? Just really quick, and then.
So Sandy was saying 30 seconds was for Kate Moss. That's how long she was. It was so quick. It was so quick. So actually, Sandy, correct me. I don't think Sandy actually meant Ellen Barkin like you meant, Jameed. And Sandy, correct me, but Elise is the name of Amber's lawyer, and Elise is really bad at lawyering, in my opinion. In my observational opinion, she is going up against Johnny's lawyers, who are obviously much more skilled at lawyering than Elise is. I think that's who Sandy means. So today, Elise was accusing everyone of wanting their 15 minutes of fame because people were coming out of the woodworks and they were bringing them in for like seconds and minutes of time. And Elise just kept alluding to, you just found out yesterday and you just called them today and now you're here on TV. And she's asking questions like, you knew this was being broadcast live, right? And you knew that if you got in on here, you were going to be broadcast to millions of people, right? And so she was like, okay, just checking. And it was like, oh gosh, just be quiet. So
Sandy was saying
that's
you're right. You're talking. So what you're seeing is the difference in socioeconomic status, right? Amber Heard has X amount of money to buy X amount of lawyers, right?
Yeah,
I'll use your term, lawyering. And Johnny Depp has a greater amount of money that can buy a greater talent level, skill, research, all that stuff.
Yes.
That goes with that. So
believe it or not, though, Johnny wasn't always like that. He actually had a period of time within the last 10 years where he was not doing well financially.
Yeah. I mean, he has habits. He
had poor spending choices, but how much was based on
habits? Habits lead to poor
wife. I don't know.
Poor spending habits, all that stuff.
As Sandy has been calling them in our chat, she and I have while watching it. Those are Amber's
Wish.com lawyers. So I thought she was talking about Ellen because Ellen Barkin came on there, and
Ellen Barkin did not. That was one where it just really fell in its face. It was kind of like,
right. So they brought Ellen on here to testify that Johnny had a temper. I don't know that was ever in question, right? Like nobody is making Johnny.
I think it was a character thing, right? They're trying to
into a Johnny into a superhero or Boy Scout, right?
She says at one point when they're like, yours and Mr. Depp's relationship, and she was like, our sexual relationship. Correcting you, at least. Yeah, it's our sexual relationship.
It was really kind of that. She was brought on there to kind of impugn his character.
Yeah,
but it kind of went south because it was kind of like, well, Johnny was mad at his friends. He got into a dispute. and he threw a bottle towards his friends. And he said, "Was the bottle aimed at you?" No.
Yeah.
Did he ever abuse you while you guys were together? No, but that
She's like, no,
bottle.
but we had passionate
Right,
sex.
right,
That's
yeah,
what she
yeah.
said.
So it was
She
whatever
ended
they
up
were trying to
not
get out of
coming
that
out okay.
testimony, they
And it
didn't
was so
quite
long
get it.
ago. It was
Right,
so
right,
long ago. It was like
yeah.
in the early 90s or whatever. And it was like, huh?
But that was the closest they could get to testifying. So what that means is they struck out on asking everybody they ever knew he dated if he hit her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this week. So outside of that psychologist, Monday or Tuesday, today was, in my opinion, was some of the most explosive testimony. Actually, this week has been. So Monday we got the psychologist, right? I think Tuesday we had the DC president talking about how Amber was not liked. For Monday, actually, they also brought on another talent agent who was, can you verify some numbers here of all the stuff? And basically, they brought in several talent agents who were like, yeah, Amber's talent agent has no idea what she's talking about. She is nothing. And one of the questions that they asked Amber's talent agent who helped her, who was with her when she had the role of an Aquaman, they were like, and you don't have anybody you're representing right now. And she was like, no. And they're like, okay. So it was pretty bad. But then today they brought in, and it was so cool because they brought in this technology wizard. And I was like, it didn't make sense at first. I was just listening because whenever they bring an expert witness on, they ask them a bunch of questions that deal with like their circumvita and their resource, everything, their background. And there was something he had said during one of his things, and I was like, oh, I messaged Sandy. I was like, Sandy, there's something big that's about to be shared. I was like, the fact that he's in technology, now that I understand, I was like, it has to do with TV or film or something and forensics. I was like, he's about to share something big. And believe it or not, he did. And today, Sandy, I need you, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I need you to help me fill out what you feel, because here's my take. He shared that let me just say this. I'm going to just say this first so Sandy can get typing because it takes a minute. The pictures look doctored. Her abuse pictures look completely doctored and fake. So I'm throwing that out there. So the tech guy comes on and he talks about what he does. He deals in EXIF data. EXIF data is what is produced. It's the metadata that's produced when you take a picture with anything. Any digital photography that's created, there's a little tiny file that has all these little lines of code, and it tells you the model. It tells you the brand, the model of the camera that was taking the picture. It tells you some location data. It tells you the program that was used to view the picture. It's just got a bunch of just erroneous data on there that normally doesn't really mean anything. But in a trial like this, it means a lot. And why is because Amber Heard had produced photos of bruises on her face, her eye, her arm, and various other places. And so these photos were pretty big deal in claiming that Johnny had abused her, physically abused her. And the forensic analyst that was on today, he was able to take some of the photos, and he was like, I can tell you that these photos were actually edited on a different program that was not the phone that the photo was originally taken on. And because of that, and because of all that erroneous data in there, he was able to go back in and basically clear it up so he could show you what the original picture was when it was taken with her iPhone. And he does this demonstratives where you can see side by side. He's like, here's a picture that was taken with the iPhone. Here's the picture that was shown in court. And then show them next to together. And you can see the one that was shown in court, it's bruised. It looks ugly, right? But then you can see the other one that was taken originally. It doesn't look anything like the other one.
Wow.
To me, it didn't. So I need Sandy to tell me her opinion, write down what her opinion was. and say, what did you think? Did you think they looked the same? Did you think they looked different? Were they slightly, you know what I mean? All that stuff. But to me, the videos that he showed, they did not look like anything what she had
described or submitted for evidence.
Yes, it's submitted for evidence. Yes.
Yeah,
they did not look like. And this guy was on the, and then so Amber's lawyer is asking him some stupid questions too. Let me just tell you, as a tech guy, that kind of stuff pissed me off. Okay, because okay, guys, I've been in tech support for 19 years. I've helped people understand things. There are times when you guys ask us questions that we want to answer, but we know that you can't understand it. And then there are times when we answer the questions full blown out technically, but you guys don't understand it or don't want it. And I get it, but some of you you're just want that information, so we're going to give it to you, and we do. Other times we try to dumb it down so it makes sense for you. Okay. With that being said, the lawyer is asking this tech guy stupid questions where all the lawyer wants is a yes or no. But the answer is not yes or no, because you can't give a yes or no answer because it's a trick question. Mm-hmm. He was asking him, he was like, so you can't say that you found this image was doctored by Miss Heard or anyone. But the analyst was like, no one can. There's not the technology doesn't exist. The profession doesn't exist to figure that out. You can't do that. You can't ask me a question and me say yes or no when no one could say yes or no to it. And he was like, I can't say no. I can't say yes, because it's a narrative that he's trying to draw. He's like, you're making it seem like she's innocent of this, but that's not the case. No one on this planet in this age can tell you yes or no it was doctored in the specific way that the lawyer was asking. And it pissed me off so much, Jameed, and everyone out there, because, again, being an IT guy, and I know what he's talking about. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can take that, because that's how a lot of things are. But for this lawyer to try to put the square peg in the circle, it was like, you idiot. And then he's like, Judge, just have him answer. And then he was like, I can't answer. No one can answer that. What? I felt so bad for that guy, because I just wanted to punch the lawyer in his throat. That's how I was getting so angry, because I was like, you can't. It's like asking someone, saying, help me understand your feelings at the time that they made you mad, and why did you feel that way? Right. But the only two answers you can give me is yes or no.
Right.
You can't do that.
Not possible.
I'm gonna calm down. What
calm on down. Calm on down. Sandy said, he said, you're trying to control the narrative, so you do not accept my answer. I guess they tried to discredit him because he didn't have degrees or certifications. Like, that means anything.
Right. Can you? That one got me too, Jameed. Sandy, both of you. That one got me too, because in the technology field, there's only three things that matter. It's experience, degree, or certification. And in that realm with technology, when it comes there, the one that trumps all three of those, I'm not going to choose, is experience. Experience trumps certifications and degrees. Why? Because the technology field is running so far farther than education has the ability to.
Oh yeah, you can't formal education. So my best friend is a systems engineer architect. Is that a such thing?
All three of those are all, yeah.
So, and he got his degree in the Navy. But he's like, I don't use it at all, because by the time I got out of school, none of that stuff was relevant. Like, all this stuff I learned from the internet. So he has a bunch of certifications, but he said even the certifications, you get the certifications after you do it. You do it, and then you go, okay, go get this certification. He's like, the real thing is you got to learn how to figure this stuff out. And like you said, that's experience. So that is
good. I'm not saying degrees and certifications are bad. That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm saying in that field,
to make it
experience trumps all of it.
Right.
You want the person who has more experience than the degrees and the certifications.
Right. You go well, Johnny Johnson got a degree in physical education, so that means he should be a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. That's not how it
Right,
works.
right.
That's
It's not how it
not how
works.
it
It's not.
works.
So
Yeah.
I digress. But so today that was one of the more explosive pieces that came out today. And that to me was pretty, whatever. So again, Sandy, do you feel like the photos, I don't know if she answered that. Did you feel like the photos were
Oh, definitely. She definitely answered that.
she did? Okay.
She said, Jaime, you know I've been sitting there altered even before the guy testified.
Yeah. She
So
did say that. I'll
yeah,
give her
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But just it's proof, right? In the realm of court, I've been working to
Right,
stay
right.
impartial throughout the entire thing. And today, as I'm sitting saying some of these things, I'm saying them from an impartial perspective. That was some damaging
Interesting.
testimony today. Like I was like, "Oh snap!" That was some stuff. So the DC president saying, "Yeah, they didn't test well on the chemistry thing," and I don't know that we would have kept her. And the talent agents that came on and were like, all three of them were like, yeah, I don't know what that talent agent was talking about. Miss Heard did not lose out on any money, and nowhere near the amounts that they were
The
talking
amount
about.
that she's
Yeah,
yeah.
they were like, no, we would go, and they were like, why would you do that? You're making up arbitrary numbers. They were like, you got to use what's factual. So we use the monies that have been provided from previous movies to determine the future ones. Why would you just make up these numbers? That's what they were saying, And so
Sandy said, she said, J me, not Jaime.
hush your mouth, Sandy. I appreciate you calling me my name. I'm both of y'all. I'm gonna just say it that, okay?
The doctor, her testimony was damning too. Talk to
yes.
me. Talk to me about what the doctor said. I'm not up on that.
So there's been and that was one of the things that was this morning too. And I was when I told Sandy, I said at some point the trial became a trial of who's got the better doctor, who can discredit the previous doctors.
Right.
That's what it started turning into, right? So we had a bunch of psychologists throughout the whole trial who've come on and have said, potentially, this doctor said that Johnny was here and Amber was there, and then another doctor for the other team who was like Johnny was there, Amber was here, but actually more of the focus was on Amber because she had alleged there was something about her mental health in the case where Johnny didn't, so that's why Johnny didn't have to have a psychologist or anything for him. All the psychologists were really on Amber, so Johnny's team got to hire psychologists to kind of observe Amber's things and talk about that. So they came on. Johnny's original psychologist, I thought she did well enough to it seemed like she was impartial. Amber's next psychologist that she brought on several weeks ago, not impartial, talked about how all the not the victims, perpetrators are always male and the victims are always female.
Oh wow!
It was pretty like crazy and stuff. And it was funny, not funny. I shouldn't say it was funny. Towards the end of her testimony for Amber, they were like, Johnny's Laurie was like, it's true. You can't say that there was any abuse that Amber had done to Johnny, right? And Amber's psychologist says, you're right. I can't say that there's been any physical abuse. The only abuse that I can say for sure that Amber did commit to Johnny was, and then she starts listing off some of the abuse that Amber has done to Johnny. And it was like, what did you just say? like, did you forget you're playing for their side, not his side? And so it was pretty messed up. So anyway, fast forward, we've had several more psychologists who come on and talk. And so today they had another psychologist. Oh, and I need to go back and listen to it. But Jameed, it was the pieces I was listening to, I was like, oh, I need to go back and listen to it. She was listing off the different tests that they used to score, in this case, Amber, for PTSD.
That's what I did when I started losing my hair.
I think that said it was a cover-up.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was like, what happened? I thought someone came into the show, but yeah, so she was listing off all the tests that they've done, and then so I had to call Dr. Pineapples to get some clarification on this, okay?
Uh-huh.
And I called Sandy so I could kind of put
the real doctor
together.
the real doctor.
So again, Dr. Pineapples has her PhD in marriage and family therapy. She knows how to use the DSM. The DSM is the diagnostic manual that helps psychologists and therapists help diagnose people with mental health issues. In this case, PTSD is interesting, guys. PTSD, which is what Amber alleges she has because of the abuse and trauma that she received from Johnny, which Johnny did abuse her. Okay. So make no mistake about that. That's why I'm not a team for Johnny Depp anymore. He did abuse her. He mentally and verbally abused her. And that's just the same in my mind as physical abuse. So anyway, I digress. When it comes to PTSD, this manual says that in PTSD, there's like 8 or 9, what's the word I'm thinking of? Qualifications. Criteria. Thank you. There's 8 or 9 criteria that you must have. So all people who are diagnosed with PTSD have all 8 or 9 criteria. They're check marked off. Okay. Under each set of criteria, though, there's like, let's just say 5, for example. There's like 5 sub criteria for each of the main criterias. Okay. A person only needs to have a minimum number of those sub criterias in order to be eligible for the main criteria. So let's just say 5. So if there's 5 under the main criteria, they only need to have 2 of them. Any 2, it doesn't matter. If there's 3 under this criteria, they only need to have 1 of them. Doesn't matter which one. If there's 8 of these, then they only need to have 3 of them. You see what I'm saying? They need to have a minimum number of sub criteria to be eligible to say that they have this criteria, but they need all criterias. The doctor said to this morning, it was amazing that Amber had she had more than the number of sub criteria required. And that is unusual for people who experience PTSD. So remember, they all have those main criterias. That's what unifies them all. But those sub ones, very rarely do you ever get people who have all the criterias under each one. This was like someone who was reading the textbook, found the answers to the test beforehand, and was trying to make sure that they could
just check them out. She definitely rehearsed those lines.
Yeah, so that's what Sandy's saying here. Amber checked off every single box, more so than a veteran would. Today's doc states that it is exaggerated, and she fooled her doc. And so that's what the doctor came on today saying that. It's like, that is really weird. And also, why did you accept that? Like, no one checks all those boxes off. Why would you just?
Because you're getting paid. Sandy said, based on what Amber picked, she would not be functional, according to Dr. Sandy.
It's not called her. Anyway, yes. So Miss Sandy is saying that according to her, she shouldn't be able to function. I did ask my wife about that.
That's Dr. Sandy.
So Dr. Pineapples did say that people who, whatever amount they mark off, we can't say what they would or wouldn't do based on our own opinion, even if we did have PTSD. And that's because people who experience PTSD, like, for example, you could have 2 vets who are active in the military, who are in the same platoon, who are on the same part of the world and everything. Like, they could have very similar, lines. One just experiences their PTSD because maybe their vehicles landed on a mine or something like that, and someone else saw some things that they wish they didn't see during the war. Both of them are going to experience PTSD. Both of them were in the same scenarios, but they'll have different triggers for those things. So one might say, you can't go around any people that remind you of the people that you saw lost during your time there, because it'll trigger that. While the other one's like, you have an aversion to vehicles because you feel like you're going to.
I can tell you, as a veteran, who was actually in Operation Iraqi Freedom, those of us who suffer from PTSD are actually underreport, right? And I'm sure Dr. Pineapples will tell you that real sufferers of PTSD actually underreport, and actually during therapy, it helps us really recognize our our symptoms.
Mhm.
I have never met any other fellow veteran with PTSD who like Amber can readily accept all the criteria that they meet, because part of the thing that gets you in that cycle that PTSD starts is the denying that you have PTSD, right? The number it is it we those of us who have suffered from PTSD, we can't start getting better until we admit that we have PTSD. But for somebody to say, yeah, not only do I have PTSD, I have every symptom, that is, in my experience, not how it works for PTSD. And I'm sure Dr. Pineapples might be able to give you more information.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk. I haven't been able to talk with her since then, actually. Even tonight, I had like 4 minutes with her, and then I had to come to
Sandy volunteered to train her service dog and pledge her to Amber. My only concern is your dogs might bite the internet cables at Amber's house, so that could be a problem.
Ouch.
As the service dog.
It wasn't that dog though, right, Sandy? Because Sandy has like 3 dogs, but only one of them's being trained as a service dog.
Amber is a nut. Encarnacion has been very consistent with his
where he stands about it.
Where he stands on the trial. Sandy is going to sue Amber. She triggers me and has given.
She does. So I can't get through a stinking conversation with Sandy without. Let me reword this right. Without me checking my impartiality, put it that way. I can't get through a conversation without tilting and then being like, "Oh, stop! I'm trying to stay partial here, okay? Impartial here, not trying to go that way." And so again, that goes back to why I am not pro Johnny. So my final stance on it is, as of right now, still, Johnny is an abuser. He's absolutely an abuser. So is Amber. I do believe that Amber physically assaulted and abused Johnny. I'm unclear on if Johnny physically abused her. I do think that the both of them are toxic to each other. I also believe neither of them should be allowed to have any position where they can influence large people. I think that both of them just need to go away and fade into obscurity.
But I think, sadly, a lot of the whole thing behind this is neither one of them can afford to go away. Both of them need to be able to be in these influential positions, and both of these people need to be in these influential positions because they need the money, right? For various reasons. But Amber Heard has not made nearly as much money as she would like, and so her goal is, I have to clear my name, right? She tried to jump on the Me Too wave. Johnny's goal is, I've made some poor decisions. I have been extorted, and I just have spent a lot of my money. I need to get back into some of these franchises so that I can get back on the money train. So both of them, that is why he brought this suit against her, because he could have just ignored it, but it was affecting his career. So I think both of them are driven by the need to be able to, quote unquote, clear their name and get back. Did you watch The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
So I recommend it. It will remind you of some elements of this trial. Next, I'm going to bring up Sandy's comment that will allow us to segue into a little bit of the current events thing. Sandy said after she threatened to sue Amber again, is that she agrees with kind of what I said. She's married to someone that never reported his PTSD. And
he was like, I was trying not to until about 5 minutes ago. Thanks, babe.
So what I would like to say to this is, one, as you know, one of the things that I do for fun is I collect guns, and I will tell you one of the reasons that I was hesitant to seek the counseling that I needed was because I was afraid that I would get classified and I couldn't get guns and all that stuff. And one of the things that I will say is maybe that it's something that you can share to let them know that it's okay. That's not how it works, and it really just helps you. What they're helping you do is master your PTSD. When you go through trauma, it'll never magically go away, but this really helps you kind of master that. But I will also say that you don't see any veterans taking guns to shoot up schools and to shoot up supermarkets, right? And so even the trauma that they've suffered, even the fact that veterans have a higher likelihood to own firearms than other people, you don't see those things happening. And I know for you, Jaime, this has got to be tough because you know, for a lot of us on this call, it's a little extra tough because you the last week we had to see people that look like your children and look like your wife killed innocently, and then for a lot of us in the entire Latina died, diaspora, it's hurtful for people that look like you, that have a lot of the same experiences as you, especially with you guys being from Texas, and even though there's differences in our cultures, we're all Latinos, and it does hurt to see that people, innocent children, teachers that all look like us, that all look like our tias and tios and our sobrinos and sobrinas. It's tough. It is tough. So that's kind of tying in that need for the counseling, and ironically, when you talk about it from the mental health perspective, I think the governor of Texas, and definitely, I'm not here to do a political show. That's not what I'm here to do. But the governor of Texas, because you can't ever blame the access to guns. You absolutely, positively can never say that when somebody buys AK-47 and then follows it up with 375 rounds, that you can't absolutely do anything about that. So the governor of Texas said it was a mental health issue. The problem is the governor of Texas also cut spending for mental health care. So we got to figure out how we can come together as a nation. And again, I can tell you, I have 11 guns. I have automatic rifles as well as, I'm not, I got a bunch of guns, but it's a musket and a I have automatic weapons. I have traditional fire. I have semi-automatic weapons. So I'm definitely not, hey, just abolish guns. But there's got to be some barrier. It's got to be some way to figure that out. I don't. Sandy asked, did I have a bayonet? I did not. I I have some knives, but I don't have a bayonet. I don't. Yeah, I don't have a bayonet. But that's just how I feel about it, because we can't have more children dying and we do the thoughts and prayers thing, but we're beholden to some of the principles that we said. We can't say this magic word. We can't ever say anything that says, hey, maybe we take a pause, maybe we slow this process down, so that we can fully vet or keep an eye on people. And that's not some magic way, But when a person, if I posted a naked picture on Facebook now, they would ban me immediately. They would send me an email. I mean, like immediately. That picture wouldn't be up for 30 seconds, right? That's how their algorithm. They have technical people behind the scenes. So I know they have keyword triggers. If I use the N word, rightfully so, that post will be flagged. Whatever. If I say something bad about Mark Zuckerberg, but that's a whole other thing. But this young man said, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother," and he went and shot his grandmother. Then he followed that up by saying, "I shot my grandmother." Then he followed that up by saying, "Now I'm going to shoot up an elementary school." So let me get this right. If I say something bad about the president, if I say certain trigger words, they're going to shut my account down. They're going to notify somebody technical, whatever. But if I say stuff like I'm going to shoot my grandmother, I shot my grandmother, and now I'm going to shoot up an elementary school, that's not in the trigger algorithm. And I'm not trying to hold Facebook responsible. I'm trying to hold Facebook accountable, because maybe you use location tracking to say, maybe we should have a talk with this guy. Somebody go see that he shoot his grandmother. Somebody kind of stop him and see, does he have 375 rounds in the back of his car. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
Sandy said, "I hear you, Professor, but killing is illegal and people still kill. Gun laws won't help, but with the same breath, I don't know what would help. I don't have a solution." And I think when we use the term gun laws, that's a euphemism for taking or limiting access to guns. And again, I have told you I have a bunch of guns, but none of them was I able to go and get and take home that day, right? So there was a process involved. And I have a concealed carry permit. So I don't want that every time we say maybe we need to look at something different, because we can't keep saying, let's keep doing the same thing. Let's not do anything and hope that people stop killing. And again, it's not blaming guns for the killing. It's just talking about how guns allow deranged people to have an effect on a greater amount of people than a deranged person with a knife. So, Caroline, we did not. This was not a gun law show. We were just talking a little bit about the tragedy, and yeah.
So, and I don't want to. Here's my thought: when something's going on that you don't like, whatever it is, you do something to try to change it. And my challenge here is, I don't want to. I'm not saying to take people's guns away or anything. I'm saying do something though. And I don't see anything being done when it comes to anything politically or lawfully. I don't see anything changing. And that's the part that frustrates me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
do something. I'm not saying let's go to the extreme and take people's stuff away or whatever. No. I'm just saying, but do something, please, for the love of God, for the love of our children. Do something.
Right.
Do something, please.
Right.
Please. Like, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I'm not going that far down over there. I'm just saying, please do something, please.
Right.
Just please. Right. I don't like seeing what's going on. I don't think it's fair or right. I think doing nothing. I think skirting around it or whatever. It's like weird. Like, you're literally doing other stuff that doesn't matter quick, but this you're not doing anything with. You're literally banning things. You're telling women what they should be doing when you're not. Because I tell you what, if it's a guy who they told what needed to be done, if they told every man, no, you can't, whatever, a man wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have that. That wouldn't fly. Not in our country. Not today. It wouldn't. If
You
you had
mean like a
programmatic
mask
beauty to
mandate?
control, huh?
You mean like a mask mandate or something? How
Yeah,
did
like you
how did
tell
that
men
go?
that they need to
Oh,
do something
oh,
to
okay. Yeah,
prohibit them from having babies. That's not going to
right.
fly. But we can tell a
No, but
woman
I'm
what they need
saying
to do.
you see how we reacted as a country to the mask mandate. So now we're making a have rape babies mandate, have incest babies mandate. But I don't want to get into make this show into
Yeah.
super
All I'm
political.
saying is
But
make
I
a
get what you're
change.
saying.
Make a change. Do something. And if it wasn't the right thing to do, then at least we can mark that off as saying that wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Let's make
that
something
didn't
else
work.
happen.
Right. Yeah,
So
it's not an extreme where you have to go in people's house and
yeah,
take their guns and all that stuff or whatever. It's but we can't continue. Insanity would be to say what we're going to do is do a really deep hope and a really deep prayer, so that the next time we can really have
that'll change.
really good hopes
It's
and really
literally the
good
definition.
thoughts
If
and
we were to
really
ask
good
any
prayer.
therapist, that's the exact definition of insanity. We are doing insane things, thinking that thoughts and prayers are going to make something change. And I'm all for prayers. Don't get me wrong. But when I read my Bible, it's not just that. It's your action and your faith. That's what does it. It's not just you saying you have a good faith, you have a good belief. It's putting that belief in action. So anyway, on that note, I want to say hi to Carolyn. Thanks for dropping in. We're about to end, but I do want to share. Carolyn was a rocket scientist that came onto our show a while back.
Oh,
She's
right.
an astrophysicist and a violinist
rocket science.
and a musician and just awesome. She's we're gonna have an anime show soon where Carolyn's gonna come on and hang out with us. Give me a second. Gotta share my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so guys, as we're wrapping up here, I do want to share this. So I called, if you want to take a screenshot of this right now, that's a good thing. But I called the First State Bank of Uvalde. Sorry, guys, I'm just having one of those moments, so just bear with me a moment, okay? I called First State Bank of Uvalde to make sure that this memorial fund was legit, that the Zelle donation email address right there was legit, that the address was right, that the fund was there, that everything on this sheet was accurate to what was needed to make sure that money that was donated to this based on this information got to where it needed to go. I spoke to a person at the bank and verified it, and verified that the money was going to be used for the families and to anything needed for the community. So if you feel compelled that you want to do something, use this information. Like I said, take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do on your phone, rewind, pause, come back when the show's done, take a shot of this, and feel free to use this information to donate any money that you want to the Robb School Memorial Fund. Robb School is the elementary school where the students and the teachers attended. Okay, this is the location of what the tragedy that happened yesterday. This is where it was, but this information will help you donate any money that you would want to there to help the community and the families out for this. Okay, so I know I will be making some donations.
Thank you for sharing it. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing it.
I know I will be making donations. If you guys feel compelled, I wanted to just share that up there because I'm sure it's going to be helpful. But yeah. So
night, Sandy. Caroline.
Don't worry about
it. That's okay about being late. That's okay. We are looking forward to the anime show, and I hope to see you on an anime show. So
you like anime too, Jimmy?
I am, in fact, the only black nerd that doesn't like anime. I lived in Japan for 6 years, so it wasn't anime. It was TV. It was just TV. Yeah. It was just TV.
I would be great for me.
So it when I was in there, it's like it's TV for kids, right? It's not like it's not for adults. There's no Japanese adults that are running around with anime. So then I get back to the States and they're like, "Oh, do you know this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that show used to come on." And it was like they're like, "Oh, did you know this?" And I was like, "That's a million shows you haven't even seen." And they're like, "How do you know the ending?" So I liked it, but because I like cartoons, but I didn't I never got to that next level, I guess, of super obsession because it's like I was in Japan when I was introduced to what we call anime, and it
Uh-huh.
was just TV shows. Like it was
Man.
like you could turn to a channel and it would be like several different anime shows and the game and crazy game shows on. So
Yeah.
it
We're gonna
was
have to maybe try to figure that out a little bit more another time though. So um anyhow, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, Professor. Thanks everyone out
hey,
there
it's
for
no
hanging out with us.
problem. You know,
I
this
know
is
we
my
were on a
home
little bit
away from
later.
home.
Yes. So everyone, we will be back Monday night. We've got some guests lined up next week. And like I said, just love up on people, send some prayers or some people who are just feeling some things. And if you need to talk, feel free to reach out. Okay. Otherwise, have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.